tonight, a local nonprofit is working with fire departments to help firefighters combat the risk of cancer. Plus, researchers taking steps to protect the nation's emblem. Baby bald eagles are banded on Lake Quinsigamond. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Olivia Lemon. Firefighters can face a higher risk for cancer than the general public. A Central Massachusetts nonprofit is working to raise awareness to make sure first responders can protect themselves from the disease or detect it early on. Our Roslyn Flaherty joins us now with more. Roslyn?
Olivia, that nonprofit says firefighters are 9% more likely to receive a cancer diagnosis than the general public and are providing information to departments to help lower those risks. Firefighters put their lives on the line every day for others, but at the same time could be exposing themselves to harmful chemicals.
Studies are showing firefighters are at increased risk for getting a cancer diagnosis.
1540 Connections says firefighters have a 14% higher risk of dying from cancer. The Westboro-based nonprofit is trying to change those statistics by educating people how to detect cancer early. Tuesday, they brought their information to the Worcester Fire Department.
It's good for people to know what they need to be looking for, how to pay attention to signs their body is giving them, and how to act.
The fire department has already taken steps to protect their own, like using wipes on their skin and washing gear right after fighting a fire. Fire Lieutenant Robert Judge has seen the harsh reality firsthand.
I actually worked with a member here a few years ago that actually died of cancer. And he still was an active member on the job.
He hopes by educating the department with programs like 1540 Connection and being a role model to others, they can decrease their risks.
We have a lot of new people coming on to the job now that if they see me putting my mask on and washing my gear, hopefully we can change that culture.
Now, 1540 Connection also travels to schools and other fire departments to educate. Roslyn Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
Multiple vehicles are involved in a crash Tuesday afternoon. The incident happened on Route 146 in Worcester just before the exit 13 ramp to Interstate 290. 4 vehicles were involved in the crash. A family with young children could be seen standing outside the vehicle. First responders, including an ambulance, were on scene. Multiple vehicles were towed. No word yet on any injuries. An Ohio animal rights group is calling for UMass Medical School to launch an investigation of its animal experimentation practices. The animal activist group Stop Animal Exploitation Now detailed 20 reports documenting the deaths of 30 laboratory animals. UMass Med School provided those reports to the National Institutes of Health, and according to the Worcester Business Journal, the institute confirmed the school's status of good standing. In a statement, the school says UMass Medical School is committed to the highest standards of research compliance and does not tolerate research practices that fall short of federal regulations. Protecting the nation's emblem, researchers and biologists have been working to keep track of bald eagles on Lake Quinsigamond. The birds were once endangered, but now the state is working to keep them safe. Our Chandler Walsh joins us now with the details. Chandler?
Olivia, these eagle chicks are nested on an island in the lake. Today we took a short boat ride there to get an up-close look. Inches away from the nation's emblem, Mass Wildlife takes a look at bald eagle chicks on Lake Quinsigamond.
They weren't fat kids, but they were right where they should be.
The team climbed a Drake Island tree to bring down the chicks, placing 2 bands on their legs, each with their own code. The bands allow researchers to track the territorial birds' patterns and location.
They can be read with a decent camera or a decent spotting scope. So every report logged goes into that same database.
Here we have 2 eagle chicks, 1 male, 1 female, both about 7 weeks. Putting on state and federal bands took only a few minutes.
We share all the information, throw it all on a map. You can get a pretty interesting picture of where these birds go and then where those areas are we need to kind of try to protect.
Lake Quinsigamond Commission Chair Peter Collins says the community has worked to protect the island as soon as they spotted the nest.
They're an attraction. You'll see people go over and stop and just sit there and be amazed by them. and they get disappointed if they're not there.
Mass Wildlife says eagles disappeared from the state in the early 1900s. They came back in the mid-80s, and through restoration efforts, there are now roughly 60 pairs, and the population has been downgraded from endangered to threatened.
Hopefully we can say we can downgrade that again to special concern, or just skip that altogether and go right to a decent population.
Lake residents came to see the birds up close and say the experience was indescribable.
This was really special, once in a lifetime.
Mass Wildlife says they've now finished banding and hit about 12 nests this season. They say their window is small because they have to band before the chicks can fly, which is at about 8 weeks old. Olivia?
All right, thank you, Chandler. Old milestone markers across the state's highways are restored from Boston to Worcester. Mass DOT announced Tuesday they completed the Milestone Marker Preservation Project. 29 markers, some dating back to the early 1700s, have been cleaned, repaired, or reset on foundations. According to Mass DOT, the colonial-era artifacts are listed in the National Register of Historic Places. Records indicate the earliest markers were installed in Boston, Brighton, and Brookline in 1729. More than a dozen local organizations are chosen by the Greater Worcester Community Foundation as the Fallon Ornda Health Fund recipients. $185,000 will be distributed among 16 groups to help improve access to health care in Worcester. The foundation says the purpose of the funds is to help advance projects increasing access to health care or health promotion services.
We are seeing what good nonprofits are trying to do and the help that private philanthropy can do. Most of these nonprofits also receive monies from state or public sources, federal government sources that are very important. And so the role that private funding can give is so gratifying to see.
And the foundation says several different groups applied for the fund. Only 16 were chosen. Organizations can apply again for next year. Raising awareness of the issues military caregivers confront every day. It's the goal of Hidden Heroes. Grant money from the organization will allow a local nonprofit to help veterans and their families. Our Brittany Schaefer joins us now to explain. Brittany?
Olivia, Project New Hope in Worcester was one of few to receive the nationwide grant. Founder Bill Moore says he didn't think a small nonprofit like his could win.
It's huge for a small nonprofit like myself.
Project New Hope putting the spotlight on Worcester after being selected as one of 13 recipients of a nationwide grant.
I think it draws a lot of attention to Worcester, Mass. When that call came, that email call says, you're one of the 13. Wow.
The Veteran Services nonprofit is a winner of the 2018 Hidden Heroes Fund, sponsored by the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. President Bill Moore says the $10,000 grant is going to make a big difference.
As a small nonprofit, we don't have big budgets and big payrolls. We have 4 part-time staff, 10 hours they work a week, and the rest are all volunteers.
2-year volunteer David Kendrick says Project New Hope is more than deserving of this funding.
I love the work being done here. I've looked at other veteran organizations, and there's no comparison.
Moore says it was their free military members and family retreats which set them apart from the hundreds of other applicants. He says this grant will be used towards their caregivers retreat in Maine.
Us as military members serve, our families also serve too. And then when we get wounded or we get hurt in military service and then we come home, our spouses are taking care of us on top of all their other duties. I think it's very important to say, hey, thank you very much for what you're doing. It's not going unnoticed, because I'd be lost without my wife.
The Caregivers Retreat is in July. The organization also has retreats for PTSD, military families, and women veterans. Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
Worcester's Police Department sitting down to discuss their relationship with the community Monday night. And as our Cam Jandro explains, Chief Stephen Sargent and the Human Rights Commission fielded questions from city residents.
A presentation by Worcester Police and Chief Stephen Sargent examines the department's relationship with the community.
We need to be, open and transparent, as they say, to, and let the community know what we're doing and that we are out there and we're for them. We're working for them.
Earlier this year, the department reported crime has seen a significant decrease in the last 5 years. In 2017, less than 0.5% of arrest cases had an unnecessary force complaint. Chief Sargent attributes those numbers to the preparation of his officers.
The more you train, the more confidence you have. The more confidence you have, the better decisions you'll make. And our officers are very well trained, and I go off of those three things.
Worcester police had more than 300 kids participate in programs during the summer of 2017. Expecting more this year, Sergeant says youth engagement plays a key role in their relationship with the city.
That's what we're trying to get here, is people from our community to get on, to not only, trust us, but be part of us. We want to get these young people involved with the police force.
The department is looking into body cameras after watching Boston police test the devices. In Worcester, 19 officers would wear them as part of a trial. Sergeant says body cams are the next step in gaining the public's trust.
You get to see the full video as opposed to a lot of half videos that we see. So I believe it will be beneficial, but that'll take the pilot program. And the pilot program will help us determine what's best for the city of Worcester.
Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.